All right, just to kick this off. I'm Mike Bruce. Been in this office since 2013 and absolutely love this office. I've been using this buyer presentation for probably 10 years. And since COVID, I have never once done a buyer presentation in person. I will not meet a buyer in person anymore just because time to travel, time in a coffee shop, getting interrupted, all the things that go wrong with all that, I eliminate that by being on virtual. There are three big things that I do during my buyer presentation. It typically takes 30 minutes at most for me to have a whole buyer presentation. The very first thing is I have this whole buyer, we'll call it my buyer's guide. This is a PDF version, but I also have it on my website. I make it abundantly clear to my database that when they go onto my website, that they can pull up the exact same information anytime that they go on here. I am not telling you guys that you have to do this. It's just after a while, you get tired of doing the same thing over and over again. So at a certain time, you want to do this. So this is my entire buyer presentation on here. All the things that I go over is all taken care of here. However, when I am doing this on a conversation, I have it a PDF because then I can just scroll and talk about it. So I put this all together. It's a 20-page document. I talk about maybe 3 pages. I'll tell people, I'll email this to you. If you want to look at it, great. But I always talk about who I am, what my values are. I'm a realtor with DMAR, and I hold myself to a very high ethical standard. I'm not one of those agents that you're going to see doing unethical stuff. I'm one of the people that are on the good team. I talk about my client, and you guys are going to be my forefront of everything. I'm focused on you at all times. There may be other people involved. Let me see if I can switch this. Whoa, that's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
All right, my clients are the focus of everything. Whether it be the transaction coordinator, a buyer's agent, a showing agent, somebody that's going to be helping them out. We're all focused on my client. I talk about my expertises a little bit. I've done some other classes and whatnot. With me, I'm now volunteering with stuff with DMAR and whatnot. So I try my hardest to show them I'm a professional without trying to brag too much about it. I have a whole page dedicated to Keller Williams and why I work for the office here. The client's home search. I'm telling them that I am going to be asking them questions about what they want. Bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. Do you want stairs? That kind of thing. I want them to start thinking about it now. I always say, like, I want the top 10. Like, I must have these 5 and I'd like to have these 5. Tell the husband and wife to do that in separate rooms and come back together and talk about it. It's like therapy. Because he may want the big garage and she wants the nice living room or whatever it may be. Like, they are definitely going to have different opinions. It's good to hear from both of those people individually. And I always tell them that the search is like an amoeba. It's always changing, it's ever evolving. And I never want to, if they always say, or it's got to be I-70 and 100 and like whatever, I say, well, let's go a little bit bigger, because if it's literally across the street, I don't want you sending me that property saying, why isn't this in my search? Yeah. Did you have a question? Oh, I thought you had a question. All right. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just planting seeds for them right now, knowing that I'm going to be talking about it later. This is my candy, I always call it the candy land to buying a home. This right here, you find me, great, awesome. Most of the time they're not financially pre-approved. Sometimes they are, most of the time they're not. However, the step 2, talk to a lender. You gotta get somebody involved. You are not gonna get to here unless we talk about this. I need to have a pre-approval lender letter in hand. We're sitting down talking about your needs right now. So going through all the different things like that. We select properties. You are gonna see me set up RE Colorado right now, that kind of thing. Once you have your pre-approval, we start looking at properties. From here, Pandora's box is opened. You are now allowed to do whatever you want. You wanna go see houses on Saturday? If I'm available, I'm showing houses on Saturday. That's the kind of realtor I am. I work when you don't work. As far as writing an offer, it's a 20-page contract now. I don't expect you to know everything about it, but I do want you to know what's in it. So I'm gonna walk you through what's in that contract. My job is to negotiate. If you guys are not talking to your clients about negotiating, this is the most important part. This is the reason why most people hire a realtor, because they want them to negotiate on their behalf. Accepting a contract. Typically, from here to closing, it takes about 30 days. typically. If you want it to be 45, we might be able to negotiate 45, but let's just say standard is about 30 days. So from here, we have to get all this stuff done in that window. We need to drop off an earnest money check. That's going to be held by a title company. And imagine that about 1%. So if it's a $500,000 property, we're depositing a $5,000 earnest money check. It can be negotiable, but that's typical. The title company is going to hold on to that money. They're the ones doing the search, making sure that the seller, when they show up at the day of closing, is the actual seller. So that when they sell you the property, it's not going to be the neighbor coming in saying, I own that garage actually, that kind of stuff. Your biggest thing to do in the very first week is get the property inspected. You want a pro. You do not want some guy that's just got a business card with inspector on there. This should be a qualified professional. We are going to be able to draft an inspection objection where we tell the seller, I want you to fix A, B, C, D, and E. It's up to the seller if they want to fix it. So they may come back saying, we're only going to do A and B. But as the buyer, it's up to you if you want to purchase that property with that knowledge. A lot of the time we're negotiating price, concessions, something like that. When it comes to the seller doing any work, I get very worried because they're going to be going with the cheapest bidder, and most likely it's not going to be up to the standard that you may want, Mr. Buyer or seller, right? Your job right now is to give the lender all your information, W-2s, bank statements, tax returns, all of it. However, no matter what you give them, they're going to ask for more information. In my opinion, this is the biggest pain in the neck of buying a house. All the extra questions. What's that bank statement question? What's that extra deposit? All this other stuff. You got to get back to the lender because they're the ones getting you the money. And anything that you are delaying or not responding could hold up closing, and we do not want that. They're the ones who get you the money. And then we sign on the property. You are going to show up at the title company, whether it be here or somewhere else, and we're going to sign a bunch of paperwork. Sometimes the lender's going to have you pre-sign some stuff, other times it's not. Rest your hand the whole day of because you might get writer's cramp. Sometimes closing and possession are different dates. Sometimes the seller wants to rent the property back from you for the weekend or a month or 2 months. We have that ability to where you become the landlord and that the seller becomes your tenant. That becomes different when it comes to rights. They need to get renter's insurance. You become that landlord, so you need to negotiate certain things, the deposit, security deposit, stuff like that. But we can talk about all that if that becomes an issue. This I always like to focus on a little bit because this is really like how we narrow things down. In the MLS, it's Pandora's box. It's everything. And I don't want to just give you keys to Pandora's box because if you're qualified for $500,000, we're not going to be looking at houses in $1 million plus. It's just you are going to fall in love with houses that you can't qualify for. And I don't want that. I don't want to waste your time, and honestly, I don't want to waste my time either. So that's why it's so important that you get a lender letter now so that we know what your ceiling is. But let's say it's $500,000. I'm totally fine starting that search at $525 because you never know what that seller's up to at that price point. They might be willing to come down. So I'm open to a little bit of a window. However, we definitely don't want to go too crazy. This is how I start narrowing things down. Price, home criteria. Is it going to be a 2-bedroom versus a 4-bedroom or something like that? A lot of the people now want to have an office in their house. They're working from home. They want to be close to a dog parks or bike trails or whatever it may be. This is going to be a big thing on criteria. Location, I always say don't be too further than 30 minutes away from work. But it's going to be completely up to you as your affordability is concerned. But that's going to be a big narrowing factor. And then upgrades. How handy are you? Do you want to do the floor? Can you afford to do the bathroom, or do you want to hire somebody to do so? All of this stuff has to be negotiated prior to. My goal is to send you the cream of the crop and not cream of the crap. So from here, this is 2 pages of what the lender's going to ask of you. It's everything. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time because most of the time my buyer's already pre-approved or pre-qualified from here. But if they have questions on the 2 years of W-2s or whatever it is, I always say you are much better off oversharing than undersharing with the lender. Do not hide things. Don't not disclose anything because that could be a big issue. I always talk about this here. Are you a veteran? Or did you serve in our military? Because if so, VA has a really good option for our military, and they should definitely be talking to a lender that's qualified in VA. If a buyer has never talked about, it's a first-time home buyer, I always dive into this, just the basics of pre-qualification versus pre-approval, and how important it is that they get all their documents to the lender now rather than waiting till you're under contract. I always say between now and going under contract, it can be as long as you want it to be. It could be 6 months, it could be a year. But the second you go under contract, that's a finite time. And if you don't have all your docs in yet, you better get on it. So that's the kind of thing I'm into. Underwriting, they're the bad guys, in my opinion. They're the ones who have to go through all the things and tell you whether or not you can qualify for that house. Loan approval, once you get that clear ahead, we're all happy. We're all going to put on our party hats. Title company, kind of already talked about that a little bit. They're the ones who do all the signatures and whatnot. Funding, do's and don'ts. I always say, if you do anything like this, you make me look like this. I don't want you going out and co-signing for a boat. I don't want you buying a Tesla the day before closing. Certain things like that might hinder your ability to purchase a property. You do not want to incur a bunch of debt, but more importantly, talking to the lender, you may not want to pay off the debt. It may be more beneficial for you to have more cash than a little bit less debt. So talk to the lender before doing anything with your finances. Always talk to the lender. When it comes to making an offer, it's very simple. I highly recommend that we go see the property prior to putting an offer. Photography is very tricky anymore, especially with AI and everything that's going on. Oh yeah, cat. I'm gonna start using that, catfishing. All right, so we go see the house. You tell me, I like the house. Great, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna do a full market analysis on this property. I'm gonna tell you, all right, they're listed at 500, but really it's worth probably 525, or it's probably worth 475, something like that. We're gonna have a window of flexibility to go through that. The biggest thing I wanna stress to you is talking to your lender. You need to talk to your lender, because if you have the ability to ask the seller for 10 grand in seller concessions, and that can make your window of purchasability that much better, you have the ability to buy down your loan, go for it. There are so many times right now where sellers are willing to pay concessions that you can take advantage of. But I don't know unless we talk to the lender. So having that conversation.
I just got a property under contract, and this is the biggest concessions I've ever got from my clients. I got $18,000.
Awesome. And sometimes negotiating, like let's say it's at 500,000 and you want 20 grand, you may have to bump up your price by 5 or 10 grand to get the 20 grand. But it is way more beneficial for that buyer to get that concession. So sometimes you're negotiating just that. But that is going to be a huge thing when it comes to negotiating that first offer. I don't put in anything that is going to be visually seen or like inspection objection items on the offer. It's definitely going to be more of just terms and conditions. That seller can come back and they can accept the offer, yay. They can reject the offer, nay. But if they counter, they can only counter one offer. So you know if yours is a contender if they're countering you. Just want to point out again, I work as your fiduciary, meaning I look out for your best interest at all times. I like to think of this as a 4-circle Venn diagram, where you and the seller are on the inside, and both agents are on the inside, and both buyer and seller are on the outside. It is our job to negotiate on your behalf. Closing, very simple. You show up, bring a driver's license. It's going to be a certified check or wire. Wire is a big thing. But regardless, the lender will tell you how much money to bring in, and you don't really have to worry about that much anymore either. When it comes to owning it, I always like to talk about post-closing occupancy a little bit, but when it comes to like, you have the property there. I do some frequently asked questions, and I talk about every one of them. How am I going to show you about the property? I am going to actually pull up the MLS and show you this. How much you pay me? I'm going to do everything I possibly can to make sure you don't have to pay me. Can you help me find new construction homes? Absolutely. If you guys are not a part of the Builder Realty Council yet, I highly recommend it. But it's like $50 a year to be a member there. But you get to be in access to all the different new builds in the area. And if you ever want to go to a new build, let's talk about it. Because you need to treat the builder like the police. Anything you say can and will be used against you. And so if you are going to go talk about a new build, you need a stack of my business cards. And the second you walk into that building, you got to go, I have a realtor. His name's Mike Bruce. That's what you want your buyer to be doing, because if the builder can come up with any reason to not let you have a commission, they will. So treat your clients to do that.
What's that website called again, you said?
Builder Realty Council, Denver. If you are considering a for sale by owner, there are very few and far between at the moment, but if you see a for sale by owner sign and you're interested in the property, take a picture of it and send it to me. I will do all my research. I will negotiate my commission with that other person. You don't have to worry about anything. Can you go back through the property once you're under contract? Absolutely. The best time to go into the property is during your inspection. You're gonna have a couple hours to go in and do so, but if you wanna get in after the fact, I just have to get approval from the seller. So you just gotta give me like a 24 to 48 hour notice, and we can get you in there so you can measure where your couch is gonna go, or the drape guy wants to come in and measure drapes, whatever it is. There's always gonna be something. Once your offer is accepted, what should I do? I always do this little mini party, but don't overdo it. Because there's the inspection, the appraisal, the loan. So much drama can happen between now and then. I don't want you falling in love with that property until the keys are in your hand. Benefits of working with a team. We do so much stuff on a day-to-day basis to be successful. And if I am not leveraging myself and my time, I am failing. And so this is just the benefit of working with me and my awesome team. Moving checklist. I'll send this to you when it gets a little bit closer to closing so that you can tell the people where you're headed. I've got some awesome testimonials. These are all on my website. So if you want to come check out my testimonial page, they're all right here. And I always have this, and I leave this here. I want to be a realtor for life. And typically you see all of it in one screen. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing is I dive into RE Colorado. So I'll pull up RE Colorado and I'll specifically talk to my client. All right, you are qualified for 500, so we're gonna do 525 or less. You want a 2-bedroom, and I'm showing them while I'm doing this because they're correcting me if I'm not doing it right. If they want a 2-bedroom or a 4-bedroom, whatever it may be, I'm talking to them and engaging with them and being very specific. But most of the time it'll be like, all right, single family residence has to be whatever price, bedroom, bathroom. A big thing I get a lot of is parking. I have to have a 2-car garage or something like that. And so I always come in here and do this, the or, and it could be like 2+, whatever it is. Doing this on the tablet's way harder than a computer. All right, let's just see what this pulls up with. 12, great.
10 now.
So this is a huge thing for me. Yeah, because if I pull this up and there's 10 houses and none of them are in the area my client wants to be in, let's change our criteria. It's going to be the garage, it's going to be the square footage, it's going to be something that we typed in that made this unacceptable. Yeah, I got nothing. I got one house. So we're going to come back in here. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let's change this up a little bit. Maybe we don't want a single family residence. 525 for a single family. That's depressing. Our properties are getting so expensive anymore. What am I doing that's not 2-bedroom or more? Oh, that's why I needed an or, not an and. There we go. Whatever. So then what I'm doing, I love this, this right here, this little polygon thing, because then I can tell my clients, all right, tell me where your dream area is. And then, I hate it, almost everyone's like, well, it has to be west of I-25. But I'll just come in here and I'll start tapping. All right, Mr. Seller, if I did this, is that acceptable? No, you don't want this far out or this far north or this far south or whatever it is. Then I can come in here on a computer. It's 10 times easier. I'm not going to try to like struggle, but like I can move this thing around. So if they don't want this area or that area or whatever it may be, I can do all that and change it while I'm talking to them. The biggest thing to pay attention to, I cannot send more than 250 properties. This is way too many houses. So I'm going to have to narrow this down, cut it out, change something in here to make this a more acceptable search. But I'm not going to waste our time with this right now. At least I have some properties. I always tell my clients, now when I'm looking mentally as a realtor, pick one of these houses here with the virtual reel on there. It'll make your talk about it way better. So I click on the first one, and I always say, well, it always starts at the top price, but you can always filter it and tap and do whatever. Like from here, I'm just gonna click on this house. Now, the number one thing I tell my clients to look at, original price, actual price. Days on the market, 5. When it comes to submitting offers, if it's been on the market for a week, 0 to 2 weeks, the odds of the seller accepting a low offer, doubt it. However, after that 2-week mark, holy smokes, free for all. You get to negotiate. 5 days on the market, they're not going to accept a $450 offer. They're not. I mean, you're just not going to happen. They'll accept maybe $520, something like that. The seller's going to have their own opinion. I always tell my client, you can click on the picture, and you can flip through the photos, see how pretty it is. Is this the type of kitchen you like? Blah blah blah. Taxes and insurance, or HOA. So this one's got not that expensive, not going to be a huge problem. But sometimes you're going to see like 7,000 or like 12, something outrageous. It's just like, whoa, let's look at that. Just to give you a quick synopsis, I would say, here is the fun stuff that you get to click on. So you can view the map, click on the virtual tour, and I always make fun of the tours because 9 times out of 10 it's something absolute garbage, and every now and then you get something cool. And I always like to click and drag because you show your clients, you can go and see this house without me. It's right here. Like you can do a full walkthrough and eliminate it because your kitchen table can't fit here. That's what I want you to be thinking of is, why would I exclude this property? The kitchen's not big enough, the bathroom isn't what I want, the backyard, whatever it may be. So being able to click on this virtual tour is super helpful, and I highly recommend you guys, every listing you get a virtual tour. Input on the information. So if they have to have a basement, but it has to be a full basement or something like that. Huge thing for Colorado right now is central air. If it doesn't have an air conditioner, that could be an issue for your client. Talk to them about that so you can eliminate it ahead of times. Exclusions, bedroom curtains, cool, whatever. But sometimes they'll want something else. Bedrooms, locations, there we go. I always joke, this is the realtor putting in the dimensions. The odds of me putting in the right dimensions, rare. Don't trust that number. Parking, sometimes you're gonna see a 2-car garage and then like 15 parking spaces. And they're like, well, yeah, you can put like 4 in the driveway and like 12 on the street. It's just like, trust that with a grain of salt. HOA, good information. I would always put this information in, and once we go under contract, you're gonna get the HOA documents. Highly recommend we talk about it, but also upload all those documents to ChatGPT and let them figure out that stuff too. It's super helpful. Site location information, if you need to have a fence or walking distance. I really like this walk score. If you click on that, it's really cool stuff. This is the public fluff. This is the seller trying to sell it to you. Why do they want to sell it to you? This is the confidential information. You don't get to see any of this, but I get to see this. If something like this, and we're looking at houses and I can't show up for 2 hours, I want to tell you, we're going to have to come back another day. That kind of stuff. And then that's pretty much all I talk about as far as RE Colorado. And I make sure that they're comfortable with this search, and then I'm going to save it and I'll send it to them as their automatic drip so that they start seeing that every day. Last thing I talk about. I talk about the exclusive right to buy. And this isn't filled in. Mine will be filled in by the time I talk to the buyer. So it is down and dirty. It's easy. Exclusive right to buy. This is you hiring me as your realtor. There are 2 different things I can check here: buyer's agency or transaction broker. This is like the coach on your team. It's my job to make sure my team wins. This is the referee. As long as the game is played fairly, they don't care. I work at a multi-person firm. I work with these people. I work for you. It's a big difference when it comes to negotiating. I'm allowed to talk to all my people about it when it comes to your specific needs, or just you and me. I'm going to put in here into this box, sorry guys, it's not filled in, any and all properties the buyer wishes to see. If I'm not sending it to you and you send it to me on Zillow, that's fine. I'll show you the property as long as it's available. Purchase listing dates. I'm not working on a lease. We're not trying to find a rental for you. I'm going to help you find a house that I'm going to put today's date here and probably 8 months in the future, just to give us a window to work together. Dates and deadlines. If it's a holiday, I'm not going to make you work on the 4th of July. I don't want to work on the 4th of July. Like, it just goes to the next date. Now that is between us and not on the other party. When we're under contract, that does not get checked. It'll be will not. This is my relationship with you, a whole bunch of paragraphs. I have to be upfront and honest with you about everything. I can't lie to you. I can't withhold information for you. The biggest thing I like to look at is this right here, fidelity. I work as your fiduciary at all times. I'm always looking out for your best interests, never my own. This is how I get paid. And it's going to say 3% or whatever number you feel comfortable with. All these other boxes are going to say none. The other box down here is this one right here. And all this says is you're giving me the ability to go get paid by anybody else. Only if everyone else refuses to pay me do you have to pay me. In 350 transactions, I've never once had a buyer pay me a dime. I don't expect to change that now, but I do have to protect myself. I don't work for free. This is a holdover period. I'm gonna put 90 days here and I'm gonna check will here. And all that says is if I do the work, if I bring you into the house, I write the offer, I do the inspection with you, you can't just fire me halfway through this and still buy the house. If I'm involved in the beginning, I need to be involved in the end. Third-party compensation, I'll make recommendations all day. Whoever you need, handyman, plumber, garage door specialist. I'm not making a kickback on anybody. I only make money the day of closing from the title company. Buyer's obligation for you, this is all the things that I have to be obligated to you. The only thing that you're obligated to me is if you hire me as your realtor, you're not going to go hire other realtors to do the same job. If there's an HOA, we're going to talk about it. Buyer due diligence, there's things that you're going to need to do. I will show you ahead of time what those are. You have the right to break up with me, and I have the right to break up with you. This is only legally binding as long as we're on the same page. Costs or services, there are going to be certain things that are going to be involved, such as radon tests, soil tests, sewer scope. If you get into those, we'll talk about it ahead of time and what's going to cost you money. The biggest thing that you can factor in now is the inspection phase and all the extra additives, whether it be the radon or sewer scope or those type of things. The second thing is going to be the appraisal. That will come out of the lender as well, but they'll be taking through that. I always put here everything discussed in buyer presentation, because it is so hard for me to fit everything I do for a living in this tiny little box. Showing services, this says none. This here will say RE Colorado and Iris. Because RE Colorado and Iris communicate, they sync, we have access to the Fort Collins MLS as well. I always make a joke here. You're giving me the ability to admit that you're a person to the other party. If you were Garth Brooks or some Eminem, I'm not going to admit that you're that person to the party because they are going to treat that differently with negotiating. But if I get a call that seller and go, oh yes, it's just a young couple and their puppy. They just want to buy this house. Emotion sells real estate, and you are giving me the ability to sell as much as I can. Disclosure of settlement costs, things cost money, again, we'll let you know. Wire fraud. Wire fraud is on the rise, so if you are going to wire any money, talk to that title rep, ask them the wiring information, double check, triple check before you send that money, because once it's gone, it's gone. Marketing material. The only marketing material that I take of you is a picture of you in front of your house the day of closing. If you don't want that, I won't take it. That's it. Non-discrimination. I can't discriminate against you, and we can't discriminate against anybody else for any reason. Plain and simple. Mediation, tax counsel. I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA. And if we have a fight, we have to go to a third party, talk about our feelings, and then we can lawyer up and sue each other. Let's hope we never have to worry about that. Attorney fees, we're not going to talk about that. I always have a clause in here because I'm in a team. I have to disclose who those people are, but overall, if you want to do anything, clauses are pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff from Damian Cox. This is not something you tell your clients, but there's just a bunch of stuff that you can add in. Highly recommend talking to staff about getting those clause manual if you don't have it yet. Talk about some of this stuff here. You can communicate with me however you want. I can't strike 27 from the contract or anything like that. Megan's Law, I can't tell you where the registered sex offenders are. There are websites you can Google. I'm not the one to tell you here. I always tell my clients, here's how you sign things. It doesn't have the sign set up here. But like I talk to them about how to digitally sign documents and you don't have to print things off anymore. So now I'll talk to them about that. I'll send them the initial email from my emails with the presentation. And I'll send them another email with the search. and I send them a third email with the contract. And from there, that's my buyer presentation. Any questions?
Is there a way I could look at your buyer presentation that I could?
Yeah, if you go to brucehomescolorado.com.
I really like your Candyland.
Yeah.
Kind of fun
Yeah,
and
this one.
nice to the eye.
Yep, brucehomescolorado.com.
Back to back to
Oh,
back.
yeah, steal whatever you want. And then all this here is clickable on the website too. So if you want to know what I talk about, I've got a little blurb about everything. So you can go through all that. And almost everything I talk about is all right here. So yeah, rip off and duplicate. That's what I did.
I was gonna ask the same thing.
Go for it. Any other questions?
I do have.
Yeah, go for it.
So I've been wanting to get into where you pull out the RE Colorado right in front of your people. But my people that I usually meet, they're not pre-approved until after I meet with them. So I meet with them first and then.
Make up a number.
So I just.
Yeah. When you're going on Zillow, what number do you type in?
Just a random
Well,
range.
they'll tell you. They'll tell you a number.
Yeah.
Like they've done
Okay,
math.
so you don't always have them pre-qualified when you meet.
I
Like, for that
try,
number?
but sometimes it's just I'll meet you
Because
tomorrow.
I like the idea because you're doing it right in
Yeah.
front of them, so
And
it
if-
opens their eyes.
If
if
they're
being
not, I
realistic
make the
or not.
comment to them going, we're putting the cart in front of the horse here.
Yeah.
Typically, we talk about this after you've been with a lender, but we'll just make up a couple of numbers now, but I'm not going to send them the RE Colorado search until they're qualified.
Yeah.
Because too many people are going to say like, oh my God, I love that house. Can we go see it? I'm like, well, are you qualified? No?
Yeah.
No. Because I don't want to show you the house and then just go, cool, call me, I guess. Like, because I have nothing to do.
Yeah.
I need something. I need to have a next step. And if there's nothing, like, I gotta.
Okay, so if they're not pre-qualified, you'll still show them, but just arrange.
Like, I'm pulling up RE Colorado just so they can see. I'm
they're
walking
being
them
realistic.
through what to look at on the MLS sheet, stuff like that. But they need to talk to a lender.
Yeah.
We're not going further. We're not going further than here until,
Yeah.
they're qualified.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Guys, I appreciate you all showing up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Need anything, just give me a call. I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, I'll leave you alone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Actually, I was gonna ask you something.
Oh, now you got questions? I said a question. Well, no, what do you got? Because they probably have the same questions. What are you thinking?
Well, it's kind of not nothing to do with
Okay.
this, but I know your experience, so
Yeah, what's up?
You may know. Do you know what like the deal is with like doing a bill of sale?
A bill of sale.
Yeah, like so the property I have right now, they're also selling their
Yeah, so like belongings?
like
Yeah.
their furniture,
Mhm.
and my client was interested in buying
Cool.
some of it, but I don't have to. Do I have to give that agreement with the offer or no? Because I didn't.
No. It has to be done before closing.
Maybe, okay.
But no, I mean,
okay.
everything's negotiable up until closing.
Oh, okay. So,
So-
I can submit that.
Oh, yeah. The amount of times I go through with my client going, we want the table, we want the chairs, like, what's all that going to cost?
Yeah.
And then they're like, we'll negotiate it. If not, like, never mind. We don't want it.
Okay.
So that it is totally fair game throughout the whole transaction
Okay.
up until like a week or two before close. I mean, you want to get it done eventually, sooner than later, but it's a great time during the inspection. You're looking at all the stuff. You're like, I like that mirror or whatever it may be. It's like, what's it going to cost? Everything's negotiable.
Right. Okay.
So,
Perfect. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have an awesome
Thank
day.
you. You too. I love your outfit.
Thanks.